On Sunday, it happened again. Donald Trump attacking a reporter for challenging his election lies. This time, it happened on Meet the Press in a challenging interview with Kristen Welker. Here's a clip.
You've never presented evidence that it was rigged. Let's keep talking about, I want to talk about Todd
You
Blanche.
have more evidence. There's more evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk
Your
about...
elections in this country, we're like a third world country. Your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked, and so is ABC, and CBS, and CNN.
But Mr. President...
You're one-sided crooked network. So let's call it quits, because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. President, let's please, I traveled all the way to Wisconsin.
I've sat in the rain with you.
I know.
I've sat in the rain with you for an hour, on and off in the rain, and I've given you enough time. You ought to straighten out your press, because you know what?
Mr. President,
a country can never be great with a dishonest press.
We traveled all the way to Wisconsin.
Today on All Rise News and Legal AF, I'm going to discuss that interview in the state of Trump's election lies with Kelly Hyman, a legal analyst and a fellow contributor here at Legal AF. Kelly, thank you for joining.
It's great to be with you.
So what were your thoughts on the interview with Meet the Press with Kristen Welker and Trump?
If you say something enough times, it tends to happen that people believe it. Trump has been saying for years about the election that it was in fact rigged and that it was stolen. But we have to remember that there was numerous lawsuits filed in the court of law, and the court of law has spoken. They said there wasn't sufficient evidence in those lawsuits filed. So I think that's really important to remember when we look at this and we see that it's being repeated over and over again.
And now it's being repeated over and over again with the imprimatur of Trump's government. You have the Attorney General of the acting Attorney General of the United States, who's now nominated for Attorney General of the United States, Todd Blanche, saying on TV that he thinks that there was evidence of election fraud in Georgia. Now, I'm going to play a clip right now.
Well, there's a ton of evidence that the election was rigged. That's not something the DOJ needs to tell you about. There's been evidence about that for many, many years.
What do you think the challenge is to rebut that in the face of the fact, as you said, there were more than 60 lawsuits rejecting the premise of what Trump is saying, and now he's in charge of a government that is trying to repeat and revive these lies?
I think that it's important to remember exactly what happened, but it's also important to remember that we can't always change people's view. And I think that was really smart about the reporter where she said, okay, what evidence do you have? Where is the evidence? What supports your position? And we can agree to disagree on certain things, but okay, what is the backup, so to speak? What do you have to support your position? And according to that interview, there was nothing there to support it.
And as a matter of fact, exactly when challenged, Trump storms off. He rips off his microphone and stomps on it on the way out without any sort of answer. What is the responsibility of the news media in combating those lies?
To investigate, to be fair to both sides. I think that that's really important, to be impartial, to be neutral and say, okay, if that is the case, then what is there to support that? What evidence do you have? And if so, do you plan to file a lawsuit? What do you plan to do to support your position? I think that's really important to investigate and say, okay, let's have proof this in fact happened.
I'm going to play another clip. This was of an attack on Kaitlan Collins of CNN when Kaitlan Collins was challenging Trump on another false statement.
Others have abused our people. Wait a minute, be quiet. Have abused our people so badly, and you should be ashamed of yourself. You used to be a conservative. She was a conservative from Alabama. Can you believe it? But CNN, in particular, CNN does such false reporting. But now they have new ownership, so maybe it'll straighten it out. I doubt it. But it's hard to straighten garbage out. But CNN has abused, and others have abused so badly. People.
Do you see a pattern happening where Trump is attacking particularly prominent female journalists who challenge him. In the Kristen Welker interview, he ends it by calling her darling while storming off. And he tells Kaitlan Collins that she should smile more. Do we see this sexist pattern with Trump and female journalists who challenge him?
It's very disappointing as a woman to see the president of the United States acting this way and saying these things. But we also have to remember when he was first running for office that women came out and spoke about what happened when they were with him. We also have to remember about the lawsuit that was filed against him as well in the court of law and what the outcome of that is. But I think it's important for women to support women and to stand up for them. And such behavior should not be tolerated. Such behavior shouldn't be something that women have to deal with, especially from the sitting president of the United States of America, who is such a powerful person, such a powerful human being. No matter what political party, this is beyond politics. This is about humanity.
One of the things that stood out to me about that Kaitlan Collins clip was the lack of support from the other people in this press scrum after Trump attacked one of their colleagues. I understand the idea, and you said it earlier, the obligation of journalists to show professionalism, to show impartiality. But do you think that a more aggressive stance is warranted to stop the unprovoked and personalized insults and attacks?
It's very difficult question. Ideally, yes, as women, it'd be great for other women to, stand up and for each other. But then does that open them up for attacks as well? But I think that your point is a really good one. Not only women, but men as well. If a woman is being treated unfairly or had derogatory things, said against them, that shouldn't be tolerated. But then you think about, okay, but the role of the journalist is to be fair and impartial and report the news and not, in fact, become the story itself. So is it better just to show his actions and see how he reacts to things? Like the interview, is it better just to kind of see what he did and how Trump stormed out of that interview and the comments that he made about crooked cops and those statements? Is that what the reporter is supposed to do? What exactly is their role? Are they supposed to put themselves in front of the news and make themselves a story, or just report on the story?
Right. I think it raises very difficult questions about how to combat an unprecedented parade of lies. I'm going to play another portion of the Welker interview where she talks about the $1.776 billion slush fund. Here's a clip.
And they should be reimbursed for that.
Do you think anyone who attacked police officers on January 6th should get taxpayer money?
I wouldn't be inclined to say so, but I have to see it. I can tell you this, 97% of those people, you look at them, the FBI or whoever it was, because you had a lot of crooked cops, you had dirty cops. Comey was a dirty cop.
Well, a guy like Bolton was a dirty cop. But there's no evidence.
Wait a minute. Oh, you think Comey was a straight cop?
People who pleaded guilty to assaulting police officers.
Comey was a dirty cop.
Now, that clip starts with Welker asking, do you think anyone who attacks police officers on January 6th should get taxpayer money? And I'm going to tell you, one of the things that troubled me a little bit about that question is that it accepts as a possibility that isn't the stated goal of the fund, to reward the rioters who showed up to the Capitol on January 6th. And Trump uses the opportunity to float a conspiracy theory about the FBI and the rioters. Do you think that part of the reason these conspiracy theories propagate is that Trump gets the airtime to repeat the lie, and that the broader, more taboo truth that he, in fact, wants to reward the people who attacked the Capitol on January 6th doesn't even get a mention in the question?
That is a lot to unpack. When we look at this $1.776 billion, we have to remember that there's been lawsuits filed by police officers and numerous people. And we have to remember that this money is taxpayers' money. Taxpayers is where the money is coming from. But Congress holds the purse, they hold the power. And so this has been completely challenged. But, to your point, that's a really complex question, but it goes back to, if you hear stuff enough times, it's repeated, then a lot of times people believe it. But it's important to hear both sides of the story. I think that that's the role of the journalist, is in fact to make sure that not only one particular side is heard, but another side or different perspective is as well. It's important to have both.
Right. But the side of the story that it seems to me is missing from that very question is the evidence that Trump, in fact, knows that he lost the 2020 election. That's what Jack Smith found in his charges and in his reports, that the 2020 election lies are in fact intentional lies, and that this fund is in fact designed to reward the people who attacked the Capitol. It seems that by repeatedly asking Trump and Trump surrogates about whether they believe people should receive taxpayer monies if they attacked police on January 6th, it neglects the very real possibility that, yes, that's the entire point of the fund.
Well, it's also important to remember as well about the immunity for Trump on his tax returns, and not only for himself, but for his family members as well. I think that that's a really interesting component for the American people to really think about. Not only is this fund, the $1.776 billion, going to people who allegedly were rioters during what happened on the Capitol, but then also giving Trump and his family immunity back and going forward for the rest of their life with the IRS. Now, it's also important to remember, it's been reported that the committee that decides that is where the money is in fact going to, who's going to receive the money, is 5 different people, and the people, 4 of the people at least, are selected by the acting attorney general, who was a former Trump personal lawyer, which is an interesting thing for the viewers to think about and digest as well.
The part of the agreement that would allow for the audits to be dropped would be worth $100 million for Trump and his family, according to the New York Times report. Thank you very much, Kelly, for coming onto the show and talking it through. And for folks who want to hear more about this and other topics, visit www.allrisenews.com or subscribe right now to Legal AF.
Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.